All right. So I got a question, or a lot of fucking people asking me about the stroker engines, and I just got a post on YouTube about it. So why the heck, you know? We have to do a video about it. It's complicated, so I will not tell the full story, but we'll see how far we get. So if we're gonna we can build stroker engines from all three 4-valve engines, the 604, 605, and 606. And they are 2.3 liter, 2.9 liter, and 3.5 liter. They all share the same stroke and the same bore. That's it. So it's like they are all identical. They are only 4, 5, and 6 cylinders long. And you know, the stroker cranks comes from the 2-valve engines. So the 601 are available in a 2.3 liter version, but also the 2.2 liter US spec 601 has the same stroke, so you can use the 2.2 liter stroke as crank, the 2.2 liter crank as well. 602 comes in a direct injected, or it actually comes in an indirect injection engine as well, but the most common engine is a direct injected 2.9, like the E-Class 290 TDT. And 3.5 is the 603 in the old, like, S-Class G-Wagons and so on. So that's of course the first part of your build. You need a crank. And when you have a crank with the correct stroke, you need an 89mm bore, because the 601, 602, and 603 that are 2.2 or 2.3, no, the 2.2 has 87mm bore. The 2.3, 2.9, and 3.5 liter engines, they all have 89mm bores. So the question on YouTube was more or less that, can I use a 603 block and an engine and just swap the head? No, you can't. 2-valve, 4-valve. So everything is different. You can't run, you know, the pre-chamber placement is in different places, and it just doesn't work. And yes, you can hack it up with different kind of methods, but you want to do the engine as close as a factory engine as you can. And that means this stroke and this bore and this 3.5 liter if it's a 606. And it's all gonna work, and you can mix and match parts to work in that setup. But it requires a little bit of brain and a little bit of math. And if you can do those two things, then you can build your stroker. You know, the parts involved are so fucking many, so it's really hard to make a video about it. And it's also better that someone that has built a stroker before build your stroker, because they more or less know what the fuck they're doing. So it's not as simple as you can think, but it's not as complicated as you think either. You just need to know how. I think this is like the thing, that if you have taken apart so many Mercedes diesel engines, you know how they are put together. And I don't mean that you have done 100 606s, because that's only one engine in the family. And you know, because you have to mix and match parts, you have to know how is this part actually working in another engine, and how can I adapt that to my engine and make it work as factory intended. So it is complicated, but it's not hard. I think that's the way to put it in English is it's not hard at all, but you need to know what you're doing. So 89mm bore, I mean, it's no fucking rocket science to check what 4-valve engine that has an 89mm bore. If you can't do that, you shouldn't build your fucking stroker engine to begin with. And if we're talking about deck height, it doesn't fucking matter, because you know your deck height of your 604, 605 or 606 because you have the engine in front of you. So it doesn't matter if the deck height is the same as a 601, 602, 603. It really doesn't fucking matter. So you just have to be clever enough to get the parts working together. And we have done stroker builds with different kinds of parts, and from simple to extremely fucking complicated. So we actually we put the fucking pistons in the lathe and turned this is so fucking stupidly complicated, and we turned the wrist pin holes in the piston out to 28mm and made a new fucking groove for the clip, and it's so complicated, but it's it's fun at the same time, because if you can, why not? So we did that, and then we discovered that the wrist pin on a 28mm piston is fucking wider than the 26mm ones. So we had to put the wrist pin in the lathe and shorten it. And that's a tough motherfucker. It's like it just smokes from the fucking lathe. So that's that's a tough bitch. But we got it done. And we put the engine together, and we had a millimeter too much of deck height, so we had to cut the fucking block down a millimeter to get it to work. And it's like, we did it because we could, and you have to try it. But the correct way is a little bit more simple, So if you use the correct rods and pistons and shit, then it just bolts together. It's the little pieces that are, let's say there are small pieces that are the mix and match. The other things is just you have a piston that's 89mm instead of 87, you bore your fucking block. It's not what I would call mix and matching. And the rods fits on the pistons, and the rods fits on the fucking crank, and when it's put together, the piston turns in the correct position. Turns, is that the... It doesn't matter. So, that's the thing. You cannot use a 4-valve head on a 2-valve engine and build your stroker. Not going to work. You need to build with 4-valve parts. If we're talking oil squirters and stuff like that, I don't know if 2-valve oil squirters fits in a 4-valve block, and I have never tried. So it's like, and I don't think I ever had oil squirters in my hand from anything else than a 4-valve engine. So it's parts that I don't know if they work together, but I know what parts that work together, and that's the important thing in this. Is this making any sense? Is this fucking bullshit video? No, I don't think so. No 2-valve engine with a 4-valve head. That's like the basis. You need the 2.2, 2.3 liter stroke, or 2.9 or 3.5 liter stroke, and you need 89mm pistons. These are two parts that you easily find. Rods, yeah, if you do the math, You know there's only one source for the rods. And yeah, then you're gonna have some interference problems because they are in pluralis. And that's the little pieces you need to address. And those are easily mixed and matched from other models. In the first one, we cut and soldered and we did a lot of things, and that works. But it is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And you know, if you just use the correct parts, it's easier. Other thing, they perform really, really good. The longest stroke makes them really aggressive in their character. So it's not, I wouldn't say that they are more race engine than a normal 60456. They are better if you're going to run your off-road or you're going to do stuff like that, because they are more torquey. And yes, I know we have addressed the stroke thing before, but when adding stroke, of course you will have another characteristics of your engine. It's just that what we talked about before, it really doesn't matter for that this engine from the beginning has a short stroke, because other engines that are massively torquey in the bottom don't have so much longer stroke. So that's what we talked before, but this makes quite a difference. And of course it's not only the stroke, you know, you have 0.5 liter more of displacement in your 606. So I mean, it's like 7 cylinders. That's what you have instead of 6. And that's better. It's the difference from a 605 to a 606. But if you want, you can rev them like crazy. You rev them easily, as much as a normal 2.2, 2.5, 3 liter engine. And so, you know, you rev 7.5. And they just respond amazingly. But with that said, the race engines we have done that are stroke, we have used another exhaust cam because we have more displacement and we want more gases out of the engine faster. So we have actually used an NA intake cam and a stage 1 exhaust cam just to get it going. And that changes the characteristics massively, actually. So yeah, a stroker with a normal cams is gentle and torquey and really fucking good. And I like them. And I like them because they are different. You know, everybody can go and buy a fucking 606. But running a 3.5 liter 606, you are pretty unique. You know, you are one of 12, 15 guys in the world. And that's pretty cool. So, I'm not going to tell you any juicy details because you have to figure it out yourself or buy your stroker engine from me. That's how it is. But I know what I'm doing, so feel confident and place an order today. That would be really good. We have a couple of stroker builds going on around the world now. 3 or 4. 3, maybe. 3. Yeah, it's 3. It's 2 606s and a 605. So soon you will see those in a post close to your phone. Yeah, that's it. 604, 605, 606 strokers for president. And they will beat any president in any country in the world right now. Think about that.